They offered the barren alien princess to a human, and she became pregnant. The delegation arrived at the human colony on Threshold Station without fanfare, their sleek silver vessel docking in Bay 7 just after the third bell. Ambassador Kale watched from the observation deck as the Valeron emissaries descended, their pale blue skin gleaming under the station's harsh lights. He had dealt with the Valerans before, a proud species with traditions that stretched back millennia. But this visit carried an unusual weight. "They're requesting a private audience," his aide Thomas said, approaching with a data tablet. "No recording devices, no witnesses beyond you and their speaker." Kale nodded slowly. In his 15 years as Earth's representative in the Outer Rim, he had learned that such requests often preceded either great opportunity or tremendous trouble. He smoothed his uniform and made his way to the diplomatic suite, a circular room designed to accommodate the various physiologies of the galactic community. The Valeron speaker stood as he entered, her ceremonial robes flowing like liquid silver. Beside her stood a younger female, head bowed, hands clasped before her. The speaker's face bore the ritual markings of the High Court, delicate lines that curved from temple to jaw. "Ambassador Kale," the speaker began, her voice carrying the melodic quality all Valerans possessed. "We come with a matter of utmost delicacy. May we speak in confidence?" "Of course," Kale replied, taking his seat. "Earth values the trust of our allies." The speaker gestured to the young woman beside her. "This is Princess Lyra, third daughter of the Paramount House, granddaughter of the Star Council. For 3 cycles, she has been bonded to Prince Torn of the Northern Reaches. For 3 cycles, their union has remained without fruit. Our physicians have examined her thoroughly. The diagnosis is clear and irrevocable." Lyra's shoulders tensed, but she did not raise her head. "I'm sorry to hear of the princess's difficulties," Kale said carefully, "but I'm not sure how Earth can assist with a medical matter." The speaker's eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made him shift in his chair. "Our laws are ancient, Ambassador. When a bonded female of royal blood cannot produce an heir after 3 cycles, the bond must be dissolved. But dissolution carries shame that extends beyond the individual. It taints the entire bloodline, casting doubt on the fertility of all her sisters, all her cousins. In a society where lineage is everything, such shame can destroy a house." Kale began to understand. "You're looking for an alternative. There is a clause," the speaker continued, "a provision written in an age when our people first ventured to the stars. If a princess is deemed barren, she may be offered to an outsider, a alien mate. If she bears a child to this outsider, the shame is lifted. The child may not inherit the throne, but the bloodline is proven viable. The house stands untarnished." The implications crashed over Kale like a wave. "You want to offer the princess to a human. We have studied your species extensively," the speaker said. "Human biology, while different from ours, shares enough commonality that conception is theoretically possible. Your genetic material is remarkably adaptive. Your medical literature documents cases of human compatibility with 17 distinct species, though most resulted from laboratory intervention rather than natural means." Kale looked at Lyra, who finally raised her head. Her eyes were the color of deep water, and in them he saw not hope, but resigned determination. This was not a woman seeking romance or adventure. This was someone trying to save her family from ruin. "This is unprecedented," Kale said. "I would need to consult with Earth, find a volunteer willing to—" "We understand the human concept of choice," the speaker interrupted. "We would not force this upon anyone. But time is not our ally. In 1 lunar cycle, the dissolution ceremony will proceed. If no alternative is found, the shame descends." After the Valerans departed, Kale spent 3 sleepless nights wrestling with the request. He sent encrypted messages to Earth, consulted with xenobiologists, and reviewed galactic law. The responses came back mixed. Some officials called it exploitation. Others saw it as a unique diplomatic opportunity. The choice, they finally decided, would rest with any human willing to volunteer. Kale posted the request through proper channels, expecting perhaps a handful of responses from opportunists or the desperate. Instead, he received over 300 applications within 2 days. Scientists eager to be part of xenobiological history, adventurers seeking novelty, idealists who believed in helping others regardless of species. He interviewed them all, searching for someone with the right combination of maturity, understanding, and genuine compassion. He found that person in David Reed, a xenobotanist who had spent the last decade studying Valeron agricultural methods. David was 42, twice widowed after his husband died in a shuttle accident, and had dedicated his life to cross-species cooperation. When Kale explained the situation, David listened without interruption. "She's not property," David said when Kale finished. "She's a person trapped by tradition. If I can help her without causing harm, I will." The ceremony took place in the Garden Dome, a vast space filled with plants from 100 worlds. Lyra arrived dressed simply, without her royal regalia. David wore civilian clothes, not a uniform. The Valoran speaker presided, but she kept the ritual brief, focusing on the legal transfer of responsibility rather than any pretense of affection. Afterward, Kale arranged quarters for them in the residential wing, a modest suite with separate bedrooms and a shared living space. He made it clear that both parties could withdraw at any time, that Earth law protected Lyra as much as any human citizen. The first weeks were awkward. David spent his days in the botanical labs. Lyra explored the station with a quiet curiosity. They shared meals, tentative conversations about their respective worlds. David learned about Valeron poetry, the way their art emphasized collective harmony over individual expression. Lyra discovered human music, the strange way humans could convey emotion through organized sound. One evening, David found her crying in the garden, her shoulders shaking as she knelt beside a flowering vine from her homeworld. He sat beside her, not touching, just present. "I should feel grateful," she whispered. "I'm being given a chance to save my family, but I feel like I've already failed them. What kind of daughter can't do the one thing that matters?" "The kind who's been dealt an impossible situation," David replied gently. "Fertility isn't a measure of worth. Not among humans, and it shouldn't be among Velerans either." "But it is," she said, looking at him with those deep water eyes. "It always has been." Something shifted between them that night. Not love, not yet, but the beginning of genuine understanding. They began spending more time together, not out of obligation, but choice. David showed her his research on hybridization, the way plants from different worlds could sometimes cross-pollinate and create something new, something stronger. Lyra shared stories of her childhood, the pressure of being royal, the loneliness of being expected to be perfect. 2 months after the ceremony, Lyra fell ill. The station physician, Dr. Amara Lee, ran tests while David waited outside the medical bay, his anxiety evident in every line of his body. When Amara emerged, she wore an expression of profound surprise. "She's pregnant," Amara said quietly. "Early stage, maybe 6 weeks. The embryo is developing normally, though I'll need to monitor closely. This is uncharted territory." David leaned against the wall, overwhelmed. "Is she okay? Is the baby okay?" "Both appear healthy. But David, you need to understand what this means. This isn't just about Lyra's family anymore. This is proof that human and Valeron biology can combine naturally. The scientific implications alone—" "I don't care about implications," David interrupted. "I care about Lyra and the child." When he entered the medical bay, Lyra sat on the examination table, her hand pressed against her still flat stomach. She looked up at him, and for the first time since they met, he saw something like joy in her eyes. It worked, she breathed. It actually worked. David crossed the room and took her hand. "How do you feel?" "Terrified," she admitted, "but also hopeful." "Is that strange?" "Not at all." The news reached the Veleron homeworld within days. The speaker returned, this time with an entire retinue, bearing gifts and formal apologies. Princess Lyra's honor was restored, her family's name cleared. They offered David titles, wealth, land on the Veleron homeworld. He declined everything except one request. "I want Lyra to have a choice," he told the speaker in Kale's office. "When the baby is born, I want her to decide where she goes, what she does. Not her family, not tradition. Her." The speaker studied him for a long moment. "You could ask for much more." "I already have more than I expected," David replied. 8 months later, Lyra gave birth to a daughter with her mother's blue-tinted skin and her father's darker eyes. The child was healthy, alert, and undeniably beautiful. The medical staff who attended the birth documented everything, knowing they were witnessing history. Lyra held her daughter close and looked at David, with exhaustion and wonder mixing in her expression. "What should we name her?" David smiled. "That's your choice." "Then I choose Hope," Lyra said, "because that's what she represents. Hope that things can change. Hope that old laws don't have to bind us forever. Hope that two people from different worlds can build something new together. The